Alrighty, so our second item on week 3, not sure why it was so far down on the page, but so I know that this was a lot of content, and the reason I only had you do 30 minutes of this HTML and CSS for beginners as crash course was because of the amount of content here. So what I'm doing on this second item is I'm increasing the amount of code along you're doing. And these two items won't take as much time as I think you had to spend here. Okay, that's my hope. That's my reasoning. So, but let me show you here. The thing you want to do here is you're going to watch from the 30-minute mark because that's where we left off, right? And then, and this is important, I'm going to have you code up until 57 minutes, 35 seconds. And at that point, stop, okay? Just for a moment and complete the Git workflow. Okay. And then your message, remember your Git workflow is your Git add, your Git status, Git add. Git status is like you don't have to do it every time, but it's good to see it. And then you do the Git add, and then you do the Git commit. Okay. So what will happen is when I look at your link, I can see both of your commits that you're going to do. So you're going to do that, and you can. I gave you a sample. You know, if it isn't exactly like this, but at least says something along those lines. Then continue coding along until the 1 hour and 30-minute time mark, and then stop and complete the Git workflow using the message code along to 1:30. Okay. Now I will tell you, and I just reviewed this part of his video. He does talk about using a video tag. He shows that he has a video I was on his system. You don't have to have his video. He doesn't even, as far as I can see, provide a link to it. He probably does maybe in his full course somewhere. Which, by the way, I actually purchased his full course in Udemy because I just liked them. And I like the way he's covering more contemporary topics here, which is why I chose him for you guys. So it's okay just to code along. You don't have to have that video that he has on the local system. If you want to, you can go find one. It'd be easy enough to do. What I like is that he ends up doing it using just a link to YouTube to show you some of the other ways to handle that. So, but then, like I said, that will happen, I think, before the 57 point. And then he does a couple of other rewrites where he does a form, and then and it's a little subtle. So I apologize. This is one of the parts I don't necessarily love about this course is he just deletes everything and starts again. And it's a little frustrating, but you also get introduced to a lot of good concepts. So I kind of have to go, which is better? But let me just show you. Okay, so the other thing, by the way, I've done since the last video, because I had so much lag happening on my Mac side, or on my running Windows on my Mac, I just decided to go ahead and clone these repos onto my Mac side. So this is VS Code running on my Mac. I've cloned the two repos we're working in so far. I'll do the other ones soon. And I've completed this code up until the 1 hour and 30-minute point. Okay. So again, here, right, I'm just going to I'm going to move into my directory called RioFCCW underscore private. Let me see, what directory am I in? RioFCCW underscore private. Oh, it helps when you do FCCW. That would be good. Okay. In fact, you can always know if you're doing it right because when you hit tab, and I'm going to increase my font so you can see. I know it's a little hard to see there. I'm going to do clear real quick just because clear is nice. And actually, you're going to, as part of the second part of this work this week, learn a few more commands on the command line. All right, so now I'm going to do git status because I've made some changes and I've changed my index file. And I'm going to do, actually now I have to actually move into, because here I'm in the, and if I'm never sure, another command you can learn is I am in the private. So now I'm going to move into lectures. I'm going to move. Notice that time I actually did two quick ways, L tab and then /H tab to move into that directory. So you need to be, depending on your system setup, sometimes you can do git commands that are not in the current directory that you're in. But again, this looks a little different than last week just because I'm on my Mac side, and you can see that my code looks a little different as well. So now I'm going to do a git add index, or I could do a star, do a git commit -m. I'm going to say code along to 130. Cool. And then I'm going to do git push. All right, so that's the steps I need to take. And again, it looks just a little bit different, but it's the same process. And now if I move over to my GitHub and go into my private directory, this is why when you're giving me this link to the HTML. Oh, by the way, notice here, you can see my last commit message as well. And then you can also see, where is that at? Is it here? Yeah, this actually shows me what code's been done, and that's part of what I'm going to look for in yours is that, did you, let me go back so I can show you this. Here's the history. So I can go back and look at if you've done that git commit at that time part. Again, I changed it a little bit since I've done this, and in the HTML or in the write-up, I actually said the time specific I wanted you to do the first commit. And again, I'm just showing you this so you'll know where I find that and where you can find it, and you can look at it. What's cool is that you can look at the commit itself in a bit more detail, right? So that's that's part of what I'll look for on this one. So all you have to do here, now I noticed here also, here into lectures, into HTML. So this would be the link that you would give me up on in here as the URL, okay? All right, so let's go look at, that's the lecture. Again, this is flipped to a normal iteration this week. So the two other items you have this week is let's learn a little more about command line. On this one, I'm going to give you a link. I looked at a couple links for this, but just to give you more experience, what I've done is I've given you a link to Codecademy. I'm wondering if you've heard of that because it's a very popular website for people to learn how to code. And I just want you to go through here and find, and I've said in the write-up, and I'll come back and look at it in a minute, find at least 4 commands you want to learn more about, and maybe do a little more research. Like path is always a good one because path is that, where your computer is set up to, if you don't find something in the current folder, it looks in these different paths for the commands that you're running. Right, so you could do this command, echo pound path, PWD, I think you've seen me do before, where you look at the current one. Now, where there are some, and you could try these, but where there are some that deletes files, don't do those. That probably wouldn't be the greatest idea. And so you just want to be a little discerning here when you look at these, right? And there are other listings of Linux-like commands, just so you know what they are. But this is a pretty good list, and I think should do fine for us. Okay, this is a cat. Again, in order to do this command, you would have to have had a couple of text files, which takes standard output and redirects it from the left to the right. This is kind of just another way of doing it. Catalog is listing those. Bash. Now, this is something I've done, and as you move more into advanced classes in coding, you might get some of this where you modify what's called your git bash. So in the write-up, I kind of say research or try, right? So because what I want you to do, and again, is look at some of the different commands and give a try. And I put this caution, kind of what I was saying before, it's important to read before you try something that could be system wide. So, don't do deletes, but you can try things. And if you don't want to try them, just research them, right? Just research at least a couple. And again, I think I said here at least 4 different commands, or find another website because there are a ton. And because these commands that we're looking at are just kind of specific commands just for running, right? It talks about just kind of Linux based operating system commands. There are also, and you can look at this, Git commands, other Git, which might be good to do. Commands, right? Oh, good. Look, see, there's a cheat sheet. Of course there is, right? This would be the other one you could look at. Look at all these different. Oh, wow. This is a download a PDF. Git init. Yeah, so this is another way to create a repo that we didn't do because we did git clone. Git configure, that's something we did. We did a git add. So this is great. So here are some other commands that I at least want you to be introduced to other commands, because notice all the commands related to Git. Okay. So again, I want you to, and this one is not, you don't have to post anything as far as your work product, but you do want to put links or think, so tell us which 4 you looked at. Again, I've given you at least 2 alternatives here, or you could find other ones. If you've tried some, tell us what you understand about them. If you research some, tell us what you've learned about them. All right, so the last item for this 3rd week of the semester is actually something that I noticed, and I thought about this afterward. It's becoming almost a little dated because Microsoft a couple years back bought GitHub. And matter of fact, let me go look at what year this was. 2018. Okay. So it is still something. This is the person that now runs Microsoft, Satya Nadella, and he's awesome, and he's really doing some great stuff at Microsoft. And he talks about why Microsoft bought GitHub. There was a lot of concerns when this originally happened for people in the development community. They were really worried that this would completely change GitHub because it was such a great resource for people who do any kind of coding. And I don't think the concerns have, and maybe I'm wrong about this because maybe I'm not in the right circles, but a lot of the concerns that I saw didn't really come into reality. As a matter of fact, if anything, it made it more accessible. Some of the things I used to have to submit requests for now are just done standard. So from my experience, it hasn't. But I want you to just research, right? Because there still has been some talk on the internet about the concerns of Microsoft buying GitHub. And you can see from our class that the importance of using GitHub. And if I haven't said it already, the reason I start and teach you GitHub is because it is a fundamental basic skill when you're doing coding. Okay, so again, we're trying to help you get some experience of what it might look like to be a developer, and GitHub or any kind of version control is part of that. All right, so on that one, you're going to find some research links. Okay, you're going to post those links and talk about what you found or what your opinion is after looking at this. This one does require replies. All right, that's it. I hope you have a good one. I hope you enjoyed the stuff this week. It's time for me to start looking at week 4. It's crazy how fast it's going.